Many Roman Catholics online will try to defend their belief in the papacy with Matthew 16, where Jesus says, "You are Peter," which means rock, "and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." They think that this passage supports the authority of Peter as the head of the church, and that this supreme authority passes down from his successors all the way to the current pope. But does this passage actually support the papacy? Well, first, we must understand that the rock in "On this rock I will build my church" most likely refers to Jesus and him being the Messiah, not Simon Peter. This is because the Bible often describes Jesus or God as the only rock of the church, such as Deuteronomy 34, Psalm 62, Daniel 2, Matthew 7, and 1 Corinthians 10. We also know that the church existed before Peter in the Old Testament, so it makes much more sense to say that Christ is the rock upon which the church is built. But if that's the case, then why is Peter given that name? I think the answer is quite simple. It's because he was the one to proclaim that Jesus was the Christ. By saying to him, "You are the Messiah, Son of the living God," Peter had proclaimed the rock of the church, hence he was given the name Rock. But don't just take it from me, take it from both Augustine of Hippo and John Chrysostom, who said the same thing. Now this alone should be sufficient evidence that Matthew 16 does not mean what Romanists often say it means, but let's just keep going. Catholics will often try and link this back to Isaiah 22, where God says, "I will summon my servant Eliakim son of Hilkiah, I will place on his shoulder the key to the house of David. What he opens none shall shut, and what he shuts none can open." You might try and link this with Peter being given the keys to the kingdom by Jesus, but much better fulfillment of Isaiah 22 is Jesus himself, who is described as having the keys to the house of David in Revelation 3:7. Some Catholics might now try to claim that maybe Christ is the rock of the church and that Christ is the modern Eliakim, but that Peter is Christ's representative on earth, and this is because of the binding and loosing authority that he's given sounds very similar to the opening and shutting authority that Jesus has. And they're not wrong here. Peter did represent Christ on earth, but that's the role of all of the apostles, for they all have the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and they all have the authority to bind and loose, as Matthew 18 says. Peter is not unique here. And even if he was unique in that sense, I would like to ask any Roman Catholics listening why specifically the Bishop of Rome is Peter's successor. Because Peter was not just the leader of the Church of Rome, but he was also the Bishop of Antioch. But does that mean that we all have to submit to the one true church of the Syriac Orthodox Church? No, it doesn't. So why is it any different for the Church of Rome? Deus Benedictat.